Hi, Steve here. Before we dive in, did you know BitFamous does way more than media training? We help ambitious organizations grow through confident communication. Whether that's your team shining on a panel discussion, leaders with more impact and influence, or tailored coaching workshops and programs that drive real results. So, if you have a confidence or communications challenge in your business, just Google BitFamous and hit the big red button for a no obligation chat. Right, on with the show. Hi, I'm Steve Blears, this time on the Media Training Podcast. We're not talking about doing a crazy TikTok video in your garden full of jump cuts, are we?
Who's got the time for that? How are you filling the ecosystem of your topic? How are you getting those out there?
Oh, I don't know what I think about that story.
No.
I don't really have a position. We're discussing building your personal brand off camera. Basically, how you need to show up off air so journalists will take you seriously when they come knocking. Now, joining me is Penny Haslam, who's written a whole chapter on this topic in her book, Make Yourself a Little Bit Famous, How to Power Up Your Profile and Get Known for What You Do. Penny and I also work together at our training and coaching business, BitFamous. Welcome, Penny.
Yeah, we're also married, Steve.
I've taken the bins out this morning. Okay, shall we get into the topic? As former journalists, we've both spent lots of our careers looking for guests.
Oh, yeah.
And journalists really are out there looking for new, interesting people to talk to, aren't they?
Yes, it's a badge of honour, really, if you've managed to fetch up somebody who's decent on air and they've never been heard before. I mean, your colleagues and producers and seniors will be like, oh, right, who's that? Oh, they're very good. And then everyone goes away and makes a note of you and your name and number, and then they call you as well. So it's lovely to find somebody new, but quite hard because when you're a desk jockey, which is how we used to refer to ourselves, maybe on live radio, daily news programming, you're very hard pressed for time, and you need to be able to find someone reliable who's going to do a good job, who speaks about their topic in an expert way, obviously, but who's got clarity of thought, who can bring that when they're on air and under pressure. So it's quite a big ask, and it's quite a risk for a journalist or researcher or producer to bring somebody new in. So you've got to kind of help them in a way.
Just a sidebar on this as well is that there are far too many white men in the media, being interviewed, and journalists are forever looking for some diversity. Even just women are,
just women.
Just women.
Yeah. I mean, the City University has done research every year for years showing the change in the number of white experts, well, not white necessarily, but male experts booked onto flagship news programs like Today on Radio 4 and breakfast shows. And, the numbers are changing, but it's still quite dramatically skewed towards traditional voices. And I mean, I've got a really good explanation of that, is that when I first started, I was a junior researcher, and I was keen to book guests to go on live TV and radio who were a safe pair of hands. And guess what? I just listened to what had been going on and I booked the same guests. I didn't have the wherewithal or the time really to find new voices and fresh faces. But that was pre-social media. So it's much easier now to present yourself as somebody who is a go-to, trusted expert voice on a certain topic, but there are ways to get it right so you can really sort of be seen as the right candidate for the job, even if it's just a 2 or 3 minute quick interview on an afternoon show. It's still brilliant to be found and contacted. So Steve, what would you say would be the number one thing that people could do to show themselves as that immediate expert on their topic?
Well, I think the first thing you need to do is, and I think we do this anyway, don't we? We Google ourselves. So you need to Google yourself and take a long, hard look at what shows up, because it might be that you have suggested you speak on a topic, or it might be someone's put you forward, or it might be that you want to speak on a specific topic. How are you kind of showing up online? Should we look at some of the kind of quick fails that people have. I mean, one of mine is sort of profile photos, wherever they may be. If you are a business leader who wants to talk on a specific topic, showing up in sunglasses with your shirt off on a surfboard somewhere in your profile photo is probably not what you need on LinkedIn, is it?
People want to be able to see your face, see that you are, look. You look like you might show up and put your best foot forward, sort of thing, rather than being relaxed, or that classic with your arm around somebody but the other person's been cut out. Or if it is required that you have a kind of setting on your profile headshot, then make it relevant, make it congruent. And I think that's the watchword here, is everything needs to be congruent. I think as well, in order to Google you, we need to know about you in the first place. So how do you get around that aspect? And that would be by using hashtags on your socials that journalists may also be using. And another way of using that and being at the top of the list, if you like, is to be jumping on stuff that's relevant. We talk about newsjacking, don't we?
Yeah.
So when you newsjack something, you're commenting on the news or something that's happening in the current trend of things, and you're referencing it. You're not holding back. You're not thinking about doing a massive blog or a video with your videographer in 3 or 4 weeks' time because you've got it booked in. It's actually jumping on the news that day and using a hashtag that's relevant that a journalist might look for. I tell you what, as well, I've got a really good example of where somebody has perhaps previously thought, oh, who am I to be contacting, I think it was Mark Easton or the Home Affairs correspondent at the BBC. Who am I to be asking to contact them and connect with them on LinkedIn? But she's a chief executive of a housing association. And she thought, sod it, I'll just connect with him. And then also what I'll do when I connect with him is I'll send a note sharing my latest post on a topic, right? A relevant, zeitgeist sort of a topic. And guess what? That evening, she ended up on the 10 o'clock news because he'd seen it and thought, right, a woman, chief executive, housing, perfect. We need a commentator on this particular topic for this news story today. So some of this is a bit kismet, but a lot of it is what you could... Do you know what kismet is, by the way?
I've no idea.
It's fate. It's like a posh word for fate, Steve.
Fabulous. So just to return to the topic, obviously newsjacking is great. You're making yourself current by jumping on a story. And as part of that, you probably want to share an opinion. And having an opinion is also something that you kind of need to have, don't you? If you want to get the attention of journalists, you have to have a viewpoint. You can't just kind of go, oh, I don't know what I think about that story. No. I don't really have a position. It's like if you want to be written off, you've got to have a position. You've got to have an opinion. And we don't mean it being opinionated, do we? No, you don't have to be a gobshite, bring back hanging or anything dreadful like that. So what we mean by that is somebody who has an angle or a view or a perspective that they bring from their world of experience. So the best interviewees will always say, from what I've seen, this is how it is, ... In my experience, our customers have been telling us X, Y, Z. So you're acting as a barometer guide, but you're also possibly having a view because you've got experience and knowledge. You're an expert in your field that you can bring to the party, bring to the table. So, of course, a lot of pieces and reporting is done with balance in mind. So you might have a view that is like, oh, the economy is terrible, the budget is going to crash, whatever. But they might also want somebody else who's got the alternative view, which is like, oh, no, this is brilliant. And so in the mix, you'll find yourself being valuable if you've got something to say about what it is you're talking about. So yes, newsjack something. You might see something in the papers, or it might be a regular, a calendar or a diary item. So Christmas retail, inflation, interest rates going up or down, school summer holidays. There's a whole raft of endless year in, year out anniversary moments of things
what do we call them in news? It's kind of like diary items. Yeah, that are in the diary for months and months, like a royal wedding, for example, coming up. You might find ways of being an expert in that area that helps the journalist bring a bit of a different slice of life, really. But having that opinion is really important.
And obviously, when we are media training clients, we suggest that they share their opinions as experts. And the thing that goes hand in hand with that is actually having a story to tell, having an example and some experience of the situation. So that might be your personal experience, why it didn't work for you, a small anecdote of what went wrong, what went right, how you see that viewpoint, rather than my opinion is this, and this is, and this is the reason why, because this actually happened to me.
It illustrates your point, doesn't it? And that's useful. And do you know what? Why wait for the media to get in touch with you when you could be creating your own media that when journalists are looking for somebody to be a bum on a seat in their studio or in the street, standing in front of a camera, doing a soundbite sort of thing, comment, why wait till then? Why not be offering the world up your ideas that, they can see it, that you in action? One way of doing that, using your smartphone to record yourself.
Absolutely. We ourselves make podcasts, we make videos, we write blogs. We're kind of on LinkedIn, but self-shot video on your smartphone has been incredibly useful, and certainly for some of our clients have used it brilliantly to really push themselves forward and get on TV and radio and become very, very well-known spokespeople. Our former client, the Joseph Rowntree Foundation, I think there was several people in that organisation who used it successfully.
Yeah, then they got on air more often, more easily as a result of being seen in the first place. I mean, gosh, imagine if you're trying to get somebody on a national flagship television programme and you've never seen them in action speaking on camera about their topic, then it's a big risk. So you're reducing that risk by offering yourself up, short video, 30 seconds a minute, just dropping in with an idea about XYZ, thought it would be useful. And then you're also, the benefit of that is that you're also having a go and practicing your own fluency on your topic areas. So you're not all like, stuttery and freaked out by the idea if you are invited on that national flagship television programme.
Yeah, it's kind of like a little mini sort of rehearsal or little audition. Yeah, it's a kind of audition. It's like, okay, this person looks coherent. Their job, they check out on LinkedIn. They look like they've got this, body of conversations around them about their interest and what they're into. Yes, it's a great audition, isn't it? We're not talking about doing a crazy TikTok video in your garden full of jump cuts, are we? I mean, this is quite, we're talking about just getting out your phone.
Who's got the time for that?
One of the people do, and I know that we did, get very sort of obsessed with kind of perfection when you're making videos. We got very obsessed when we first started, doing media training. When we left the BBC, we tried to bring all that really high production values with us in smart
You had a
video.
tripod and everything, didn't you?
We had lights, we had everything.
I did full makeup, massive hair.
And people aren't interested in that. They don't want to see something that's overproduced. They just want to see, how you come across, your opinion, what you stand for, what you care about. It doesn't really matter if the hair on the back of your head's sticking up or if your room's slightly messy. It's about you being able to articulate your viewpoint in a really concise sort of a way. So it is an audition. Okay, availability, I suppose. And not strictly how you show up sort of, off camera, but, you can do all of the above, but you've kind of got to be contactable and available as well, Penny.
It's crucial because, I don't want to frighten anyone, but the turnaround time for media interviews, live news can be really short. So being available when you've put out a video or a post, or you've got something to say on a topic, and be available and accessible is kind of key to your success. So I loved it when I had the mobile phone number of the chief executive of an organisation who I knew didn't mind me ringing him up to say, can you come on this afternoon? We've got this, the FTSE's gone down, or the economy is sort of looking a bit, or the pound's weakened. I don't know, whatever my business topic was at the time. And I knew that he'd say yes, or if he couldn't, it would be because he was in hospital having his leg off or something. You know what I mean? It was like he was always going to be there because it was important to him. So having those lovely close list of contacts is really special for a journalist and makes our lives so much easier. I say our lives. I don't work as a journalist anymore. I just want to make that clear. But makes the journalist's life a lot easier. If you have a PR company, or you've got a press office in your organisation, they might be reluctant to share your mobile phone number, and that would be reasonable. But it's really good to just clear up those lines of communication and make sure there's no barrier to a journalist getting in touch. We worked with one organisation who didn't even have a media page or a how to contact us for media inquiries page on their website. And so literally you were having to go to the Monday to Friday 9 till 6 p.m. customer service line in order to try and find a corporate member of staff to help get a spokesperson on. And they wanted to go on air more.
Why? I mean, why would you make things harder for yourself? I'll tell you who's just popped into my mind. Billy Broadbent. I'm sure he won't mind me name checking him. He was a assistant head teacher at a high school in Leeds. And when I worked for Radio 1 Newsbeat, we needed to go and interview school kids on a regular basis. And bless him, Billy would pick up his phone at any point, any time of the day or night. Mid-assembly, I would ring him and say, Billy.
Parents' evening. Hello.
I'd say, Billy, I've got to, interview some teenagers like in 10 minutes time so I can get them on air in an hour's time. And he'd go, come on down. And they'd let me in and he'd do it. Bless him. And, that high school, Roundhay High School in Leeds in the UK, got a load of great PR just because they were available.
And what a great name, Billy Broadbent.
Yeah, I don't think he's in education anymore, but thank you, Billy.
Is he neither in education, employment or training? Is that the story that you were doing?
No, I think he's gainfully employed. Okay, so that's it from us on your personal brand off camera. If your organisation needs help with media training, just get in touch.
Or anything strategic, like how to make this happen for yourselves. Exactly. How to develop a plan to actually be visible in the first place, to get picked to go on air. And then what do you do on air when you get there? Well, we'll have taught you that, won't we? So there's a whole ecosystem, and I think that's the word that's missing from what we've talked about so far. Sorry, have I interrupted your big finale?
No, go for it.
Okay. Yep. So the ecosystem, how are you flushing the ecosystem or filling the ecosystem of your topic? Maybe you've got 2 or 3 topics that you know and love and are really passionate about. How are you getting those out there in a myriad of ways that will ultimately help you arrive on the big TV, the big radio stations, and be known as an expert in your field?
Superb. I should probably add that there's lots more tips on communication and confidence skills on the Penny Haslam podcast.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there really are.
But just to wrap things up from us, thanks for listening. If you need to get in touch with us, just email hello@bitfamous.co.uk. Thanks for listening.